Oh, so you have tonight and tomorrow last night. Tomorrow is Friday. Saturday, Friday, tomorrow is not Friday. But Friday is the last night. And then group photo Saturday afternoon. Uh, group photo, so transfer marriage is people call in Friday. On the get to the same time where partner everything. Maybe yeah, so the sitting may be cut short a little bit. But it's maybe after the group photo, you can continue to do the sharing in the Buddha hall or up here. Yeah. Maybe you can do it in Buddha hall for the rest. So no need to walk back. Okay.
What's happening for Anzac Day?
Anzac Day, not
Any activity?
I think Anzac Day is a kid workshop.
The same day?
Camp for the kid workshop. The kid camp.
Anzac when
Okay. 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 Yeah.
There was a big male kangaroo
Okay.
and a little and
Okay. So you can see it.
people run
Okay.
just like with that. She got
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. The camping wildlife, yeah, is better than the sanctuary.
negotiate with the kangaroo to show up at the right time. So, so always
I think going on plan, everything is good. Everything. Okay. For the 维诺 is 平常是约中 is 精选是 main one and then 精灵是 afternoon set up last set and then Rami and one and yeah different.
how is Jing
She always do with the 很选色 is the pair always pair with 很选色 yeah
which
很选 CDB 很选选择的选择而且的 yeah 很选所以不会太
so if she pairs us with
yeah I think yeah actually 很确定
she's so
yeah
she's telling me
yes
she seems very
right it's clear sky for coming day. Yeah. 那可能那个问题要问 Jerry 我看一下，我们1年前也是翻译的时候，都要是 streaming 过去的话，有翻译的话，一定有那个字幕。
你今天把字幕关
有讲不能关啊，你要看啊。
我发现这2天效果不太好，质量不高。
为什么会这么就感觉？为什么是看今天为什么会这样子的啊？我知道为什么了，看一下，看一下，知道为什么？诶，昨天有个，叫我看到一个东西，
阿弥陀佛，阿弥陀佛，测试话筒音量。阿弥陀佛，测试话筒音量。
东西，OK。Chinese，
好，感谢师兄反馈。
今天 translation 给 OK。哦，Let's go. This one.
Go to me.
Good evening, everybody. Amitofo. How are you? My name is Heng. Glad you are here with us. It is Thursday night, 17th of April, here in the Gold Coast of Queensland. We're at Gold Coast Dharma Realm. This is night number 5, is it, of the Emperor Liang's Repentance Liturgy, and my name is Heng Shi. We're going to be continuing our series of Dharma talks to accompany the repentance. So to get us started now, let's see. Last night I didn't have our image up. Here's our image. If everybody can put your palms together, please, we will recite Namo Miao Jue Hui Shang Fo Pusa twice in Chinese, once in English. Here we go. Namo Miao Jue Hui Shang Fo Pusa Zai Lai. Namo Miao Jue Hui Shang Fo Pusa. 英文 Homage to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Homage to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of Wonderful Enlightenment Mountain. Of Wonderful Enlightenment Mountain. good. 那么妙觉会上佛菩萨，无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Okay. Lovely. Okay. Now, jumping right in to what we want to talk about tonight. Again, gratitude to all of the Dharma friends and volunteers who are helping make this lecture work, sending it out electronically to the world, and also helping me translate into Mandarin so I can concentrate on one language and you can hear really good Mandarin, not my broken Chinglish. So what do we want to talk about? We're investigating introduction to the practices of the Mahayana for people who have asked for a compass. There's a description of the Mahayana where they say, Wang Yang Xing Tan. You just look at the vast ocean and heave a sigh. How can I ever learn all of that? So we want to provide a compass, north, south, east, west. Where do you go to find your way across the ocean of what are said 84,000 practices? So we're looking at one American-Australian monk's approach to that. After 50 years of negotiating that ocean myself, how do we get across? That's the idea. So, first night, talked about filiality. Interestingly, I want to share this with everybody. Talking to a Taiwanese friend, and then talking to Chinese friends, they said, Fa Shi, when you're talking about filiality, don't talk to Chinese people. It's too much a mess. It's too complicated. It's just so old and so corrupt now. People are so tired of it, and it so much doesn't work. And you don't know what you're talking about. They really said it right, straight out. You want to talk to Westerners, that's something else. Westerners, it's a fresh idea. It's a new idea. It's like that's important to them, to reconnect with their parents. Chinese culture, you're a Waihang. You don't, 你没有资格讲孝道给中国人听. So I thought, oh, that's interesting. So probably true. So for Westerners, we'll see. That was the first night. Night number 2, we talked about bowing as also something that Westerners have never experienced before. And it's very interesting when we have people on New Year's, 过年, Chinese Lunar New Year's, when we have people come in on Buddha's birthday, they kind of come, one time a year, they come in and they do Chinese family bowing. What is Chinese family bowing? If you don't know Buddhist bowing, you get down on your knees and you put your hands, both hands down, and you do push-ups. You go bang, 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 ko, to, 3 times, just like you're doing push-ups, the exercise, That's Chinese family bowing. You can really tell if somebody is not familiar with the Wu Ti To Di, our Mahayana style. That was the second night. Third night, we talked about food. Fourth night, we came back and talked more about filiality and trying to make sense of it. And also, we talked about precepts a bit. And that's a deep topic, and I think that might be the one where my personal experience is kind of, may not be universal, this idea of growing up as a baby boomer, growing up in the 50s and 60s, and hearing about anybody trying to limit my personal freedom. I reacted against it. I rebelled against it. So for me, hearing about precepts as the Buddha's approach, which is you need these if you want to do what I did, that was new to me. So maybe that's not everybody's experience. We'll see. Okay. I kept saying, we're going to get to Chengzan Rulai, and I kept pushing it off. Well, tonight is the night. What is Chengzan Rulai? Praise the thus come ones. That is Samantabhadra's second vow. So when we get to at the first night, we said there are various ways to introduce 8万4千法门, 84,000. How do we do it? Do we start with the four great bodhisattvas? Do we start with 六大宗旨? Do we start with the five schools, the Wuzong? Do we start with Samantabhadra? Well, if we do, Samantabhadra has a very interesting way, because why? He is Da Heng Pu Xian Pusa. He is the one who knows the most about the various ways to practice. And he gives us this list of 10. And that list of 10 is a very excellent menu, a list of an outline, you could say, of how one can cultivate, practice all the way to Buddhahood. So, number one, bowing. Number two, praising. Okay, so Samantabhadra recommends this is a good method. What about that method? That's so interesting. Let's take a look. What did Master Hua say? Here is pretty much Shifu's 100% endorsement. Shifu was 17 years old, and he wrote, let's see, 赞净土法门而作偈曰. What did he say? 依据弥陀诸法王50 oh wrong 50无手势不是58教尽酣藏，行人但能专心念，四入寂光不动常. Okay, this is Master Hua's praise. One recitation of the Buddha's name is the king of all the myriad dharmas. The 5 times, the 8 teachings, let's see here, the 5 periods, the 8 teachings are all included within. The cultivator needs only concentrate and recite, and they seem to enter into an unmoving field of still, bright light. Merge with instead of enter into. Merge with an unmoving field of unmoving, still, a field. Merge with a field of still, bright light. Okay, there we go. And see, I'm still working with this as we go. All right, here we go. All right. So, 依据弥陀诸法王. We're saying, what's the best method to practice? Well, Shifu says, a single recitation of the name Amitofo is the king of all dharmas. Wow. And yet, Shifu will say, they are all number 1. None of them are number 2. So that's interesting. And both are correct. Wushi, the 5 different periods, that's a way to divide up all of the Mahayana. Bajiao, another way to divide up all the teachings. Jinhanzang, all of these divisions are included in Amitofo. Na-mo Amitofo. 六字大后面. Xingren, the practitioner, if only you, this is the key word right here, 专心念, 四入. It's as if you merge with, you join with, 极光, still illumination, 不动, unmoving, field, or what does Thomas Cleary translate that? Matrix, an environment that is unmoving. Okay, there you go. So, very powerful. Shifu, 17 years old, 17岁, 都会写这么一个偈颂. He wrote that at age 17. We got another one. Here is another one of Shifu's verses that really show us how he values the Pure Land. 师父怎么样重视净土法门呢? he has a disciple whose name is Chengde. He encouraged Chengde 专修净土法门. So this was one of Shifu's Dongbei disciples. And he said, just do this. What did he say? He said, what happened here? Let's get this together. Here we go. Okay. He said, 念佛能念无间断，口念弥陀打成片，杂念不起得三昧，往生净土定有盼，终日讨饭说不苦，才将红尘心念淡，求生极乐意念重，放下染念归净念。Okay, we got 偏 we got 断片昧判淡念。Okay, Shifu's verses are really excellent. So what does he say? If you can recite the Buddha's name without break or cease until the sounds of the recitation fuse into a single piece, then random thoughts no longer arise. You settle into samadhi. And reborn in the Pure Land for you is a certainty. Okay, good stuff, right? Never lose your loathing for the suffering Saha world. Let craving for the red dust gradually wear thin. Wish for rebirth in ultimate bliss with an ever stronger need, I guess. Let go all scattered, tarnished thoughts. Regain thoughts purified. Okay, now, if for people who appreciate Shifu's verses, look, he's got nian twice in the same line. That's really rare.很少, right? So, 念佛, 如果你念佛能念到无间断的继续念，好像不念而念啊，它自动在你心里口念弥陀打成片。Shifu, okay, I should speak in English, right? So, Shifu's, by saying it this way, what Shifu is pointing to is something that happens. You recite, okay, good. You recite until it really seems like there's been a change inside, and almost like you have a recorder, almost your recorder plays the Buddha's name inside you. So walking, standing, sitting down, you're still reciting. That's a change. There's a transformation in your consciousness. And this actually happens. It's until you, for me to say it to you, if you haven't experienced it, it sounds maybe scary. I don't know if I want to have a tape recorder start to recite inside me. Not to fear. This is an actual, you could say it's a 根气 sort of that happens inside. 杂念不起得三昧. And what's more, 杂念, the ordinary random thoughts really are subdued. You don't reach for other things. You're not distracted. You get what's called 三昧, 正定正受. Okay, at that point, 往生净土定有盼. You really have a connection to the Pure Land, okay? 中二眼饭说破苦. Okay, now, this is key. This is like the next step. You have to decide what you value. What is most important? Get your priorities straightened out. So if you say, I've tasted most of the flavors that are available in the kitchen in this world, and no flavor tastes as reliable or tasty as the purity and the stillness of Buddha recitation, then you'll get tested for sure. Things will come up. Do you want it? Do you not want it? Don't want it. 求生极乐一念中. You say 求生净土阿弥陀佛. That's what you want. 放下杂念归净念. You will truly, while you're alive, this is key, you'll get the flavor. You'll find Pure Land is your new address, your new passport, your new nationality. You are a citizen of Amitabha's Pure Land. Okay, there we go. Those are two of Shifu's verses. Now, I want to let's take a little break from my exhorting everybody to pay attention to Shifu's verses. Why? I learned something by studying Buddhist history in China, which I didn't know. And that's that before the Tang Dynasty, Amitabha was not popular. His story was unknown, by and large. Before the Mituo Sanjing were translated, people didn't know. There we go, all clear, good. People were unaware of the presence of Amitabha. That story came only when the three sutras, the Amitabha Sutra, there we go, the Limitless Light and Limitless Lifespan. Before those sutras were translated, people didn't know. Who did they want to wait for? Maitreya. Mila Pusa. His story was really popular. Watch this. Where is this? This is Dunhuang. Who is that? Maitreya. That's not Amitabha. This is Maitreya in the Tushita heaven. And this is where? This is Dunhuang, Mogao, cave 202 on the south wall. This is from the Mila Pusa Jing, right? It's the Longhua Fa Hui, right? The promise that in the future Maitreya will come down, but he's in the inner courtyard of the Tushita heaven, Dou Shuai Guo Tian Nei Yuan, waiting. He's waiting. So there's a whole thing while Maitreya is there, and then after he comes down. So here we are at the Dunhuang, an entire painting. They say part of the story in the Maitreya Sutra says, what happens? When he comes, clothing comes out of trees to suit you. 你喜欢的衣服呢，树上都会出生. There it is. That's a painting from Dunhuang Mo Gao Ku. The clothes are coming out of trees. There's all kinds of descriptions of the wonderful things that happen. So this is what I'm saying, was something I didn't know, was that the Maitreya, that Amitabha was not always number one Dharma door in China. There were times when Maitreya was the one. But then Kumarajiva, Jumro Shi Fa Shi, translated everybody's favorite, the Amitabha Sutra, for sure, Mituo Jing, right? Then there's a further transformation, which happened with the arrival of the Lengyan Jing. When the Shurangama Sutra was translated, in the Arsha Wusheng chapter, the Buddha says to Manjushri, which one is the best method? There we go. That's our same question, right? This is the same question that we're asking. How do you cultivate? And among those asked, Dashizhi Pusa, Great Strength Bodhisattva, says what? He says, 念佛 He says, this is the best method. And it's a short, really short, but he describes, 就说经念上气, he says, 入萨摩地是为第一. He said that you recite until you keep reciting until you enter samadhi. 度摄六根经念上气. Take your six senses, 度摄, bring them back, gather them in. 度摄六根经念上气. Let your pure thoughts continue. 入萨摩地是为第一, says Great Strength Bodhisattva. Close off, bring back, just close like gates, your liu gan, your six senses, and keep the recitation going, 经念上气, purely, pure thoughts. You will enter samadhi, that's number one. So, inside what's called the Liang Zong, the Pure Land tradition, the early Pure Land patriarchs said, that's number 4. That is the Jingdu Si Jing, Banlai Jingdu San Jing, right? There were 3 Amitabha Sutras. Then they added the Duan, short, the Great Strength Bodhisattva. Then, who, came along one more, Yinguang Dashi, in in the 20th century, Master Yinguang said, we have to include the Pushen Heng Yanpin, chapter 40 of the Avatamsaka Sutra, because there is this section where Pushen Pusa describes the experience of somebody Wang Sheng Jiro Shiji, going off to rebirth. And we're all familiar with that. That's one of people's favorites, where he says, at the 最后刹那, at the last second of life, when someone is dying, you can't take anything with you, you can't take your wealth, you can't take your relationships, your spouse, your kids, your palace, your armies, your elephants, none of those things. He's talking about a king, of course. He says, only the merit and virtue that comes from cultivating Samantabhadra's practices and vows, Pushen Huyen. Of course, that includes Chengzan Rulai, Nianfo de Gongde. That includes all of the different cultivation. That is what takes you to the Pure Land, he says. But then he says something very revealing, which I have, as my experience speaking Dharma for people, I use this a lot, and I hope that the nuns here will pick this up too. It says what happens after you get to the Pure Land. 往生极乐世界之后怎么办? It says you meet the bodhisattvas, you come out of the lotus, and basically it says you study all the methods for teaching living beings. It's that the Pure Land of Amitabha is a training academy for you preparing to be reborn as a Buddha in your last life. I didn't know that, right? People are familiar with that, and I won't go into it tonight because that'll be the end of the lecture. To do it well, it would take half an hour. But you've heard me talk about that before, and I really hope people will. Where is it? This is chapter 40, Pushen Heng Yanpin, right? Ru Bu Si Yi Jie To Jing Jie, Pushen Heng Yanpin, chapter 40. Chapter 40 is in 3 parts. People know Sudana, our hero, goes and asks the last advisor, number 53, Pushen Pusa. He says, asks us 2 questions. How do I cultivate bodhisattva practices? How do I walk the bodhisattva path? I have made the bodhi resolve. Wo fa guo pu ti xin. Samantabhadra, first thing he does, he says, oh, good. He says, here's what you do. Li Jing Zhu Fo Chengzan Rulai. That's where the 10 practices come along. But then what does he do? Then there's a middle part where he talks about the benefits that result from those 10 practices. These good things happen. And he says, you get a body like Samantabhadra. Oh, all of your your karma is purified. And then all of a sudden, he says, now, at the last moment of life, while you are lying on your sickbed, he says, none of these things go with you except the merit and virtue of your cultivation of Mahayana practices. In an instant, you're reborn in the Pure Land. You meet the Bodhisattvas. Amitabha greets you. You come out of the lotus, and you go to work to learn Fangbian, teaching living beings, expedient means. And then he says, after, you go to many worlds and practice as a bodhisattva, and then when it's your time, you become a Buddha. Ba Xiang Cheng Dao. You become a Buddha with the 8 signs of accomplishing the way. That's new information to me. That was like, whoa, look. Samantabhadra is saying what happens after you are reborn in the Pure Land. Oh, that's interesting. So, Master Yin Guang and others said, this passage out of chapter 40 is Di Wu Jing, Jingdu Wu Jing. Okay? So, in the Mahayana, you hear about Jingdu Sanjing, Jingdu Sijing, Jingdu Wu Jing. Not everybody agrees. There are people who will say, oh, no, there are only 3. No, there are only 4. You can't take a Leng Yan Jing, Hua Yan Jing passage. They're not the same. Other people say, absolutely. We love 那个大势至菩萨念佛圆通章. One year, when a delegation went to Malaysia, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Shifu told all of us to memorize 大势至菩萨念佛圆通章, or you can't go on the trip. He insisted we all, as admission to the delegation, if you wanted to join the Fangwentuan, you had to recite from memory 大势至菩萨念佛圆通章, 大势至法王子, right? So, okay, that's interesting, I think, really interesting. All right, now, Maitreya, at that point, once the Jingdu Sanjing, Jingdu Sijing, Jingdu Wujing came out, Maitreya Bodhisattva's practices disappeared. Starting from the 4th and 5th century, Amitofo devotion began to arise. Eventually, 超过净念弥勒菩萨. The Mito Jing came out. Oh, 贪乱道戳善道，在那个第6、第7世纪，这个净土的祖师就把这个净土法门，把它系统性。那个延续法师 has lectured on these a lot. People who really do Jingdu Faman know a lot about Shandao and the other monks. Shifu didn't go into it deeply. He just told us to do it, go into our own. 慢慢的，唐朝的时候，大家注意弥勒菩萨不那么热门，不那么多。还有的在中国。跟着弥勒菩萨的有一些就变成怎么说，不是川革命，捣乱 became rebellious, you know, 有的就好像白莲叛徒，对，所以慢慢的那个大家怕，你就信从弥勒菩萨可能有麻烦了。还有一点就是说，同时，有的人，你们大家有没有注意？师父的偈颂就说念不间断，你自己在这个身体里边还没有死，好像入一种不动光、不动场，一个净光不动场，没有死。那是一个门呢，另外那个门就说，等到最后一念往生，不在这个身体，你就到了极乐世界。有这2条路，一个是禅宗的净土宗，一个是净土的净土宗，是不是？ two methods, two very different methods in the Pure Land. One is you recite Shifu's verse, right? Here's Shifu's verse. What is it? You recite until, for you, you are, if 能转心念, it's like you move into a field of still bright light. How good is that? That's the Chan school's approach to Pure Land. The other story, the other road to the Pure Land is the one that Samantabhadra talks about, which is wait till you pass away, then you will go to the Pure Land. Okay, either one, fine. Now, the benefit, so we have by the 宋朝的时候，宋明清那个念佛进入法门，跟修行就一样，就变成一个东西了。念佛堂、莲社宗、阿弥陀佛师父法师阿弥陀佛就念佛禅都有。台湾、香港、海外哪里有大家修道，就是要念佛So 弥勒菩萨还在，大家还就说等那个莲社那个龙华法会他就当来下生。可是呢，就有那个布袋和尚还有这个欢喜佛等等，他就弥勒菩萨就搬到斋堂每个斋堂就坐在那里欢喜了，胖胖的不过呢，不像以前弥勒菩萨就往下阿弥陀佛往上这样子。OK， 那个是很有意思的哈。OK，So，为什么那个念佛法门、净土法门那么受欢迎吗？三根普被，翻盛其收就说谁都可以的，不像禅宗你不能盘腿，比较慢来那个念佛年纪大年纪轻就说顿根普通立根都一样的，都可以念那么凡夫圣人都念佛你看呢，观世音菩萨在普门品呢，他还是供养阿弥陀佛那个供养释迦牟尼佛就是有这个专心念还有有一点我觉得是很重要，为什么在僧团里边都大家喜欢念佛？你自己还有地方你可以把自己的这种这个修行的方式可以传心我们有记得那个谁恒能师，台湾的恒能师在万佛城住了很久，他呢念佛的时候不但一副念珠两副念珠，不但108粒的这个念珠它有很长的，好像216，他那个恒能师他把那个念珠这个就像车轮胎差不多了，转念两副念珠，一个不够了很诚心在那念还有我最近在杭州看到一位大德他手上戴了一个戒指，我看了奇怪是什么呢？是一个小小的木鱼，就是当当当当当当，我们的木鱼哒哒哒，那个不是，是一个电动的念佛机，会数怎么说 ？Buddha counter， 计数器，它可以手里就阿弥陀佛，阿弥陀佛，阿弥陀佛，阿弥陀佛，阿弥陀佛，就咚咚咚咚咚咚咚这样子，然后看了多少这样子，很有意思，是个木鱼电动的。所以呢，你自己的样子，你自己的特别的可以表现了，有表意现极了啊。所以念佛法门很多很多，这个大家喜欢的这种方法。还有一点，那这一点在今天我们在拜梁皇宝忏这个礼拜了，所以这有一点好像美中颂坛的样子。雪中送炭可是呢，西方人呢不知道什么叫法会。什么叫法会？我觉得净土法门最受欢迎，大家最喜欢用功的方法，有很多是因为这个法会的关系了。什么叫法会文化呢？因为我参加了，我都没有到了金山寺之前，我根本不知道什么叫法会。然后呢，我们是美国人，师父给我们介绍的法会有多多少少。我去台湾参加是哪里？是忘了是木扎哪个地方？大家办法会，这是什么呢？这是一个高中的一个那个篮球场，高中的我们租的，是台北法界出钱租那个篮球场，在一个高中，地方平比较大了，这边布置这个佛桌了，好庄严的不得了。然后呢，那个篮球场。每一个参加这个是什么？那个时候我们是这次很有意思，拜那个华严忏，拜一个华严忏这么一个法会，有方形的榻榻米，方形的这个殿，每个人怎么说？拜殿是个拜殿，平平的、小小的，我觉得太小，给我来讲不方便。可是每个人呢，很喜欢，因为你就拜下去，有比较不是普通的，是庄严，都有莲花什么的。你拜下去可以，到坐的时候也可以坐在I need to speak English, don't I? I keep doing that. So. Everybody had this was we did a fa hui. It was the Avatamsaka repentance in the basketball court of a high school in Taipei. The Dharma Realm Association rented for a week rented the basketball court. It was the school break, so the floor. There was a Buddha altar on one side, very adorned, very beautiful. But on the floor were several hundred tatami squares. And they were very pretty, they had a lotus flower on them. But the square was each participant in the fa hui had his or her own square. That was where you bowed, that was where you sat to meditate, and it was where you ate your biandang, you ate your box lunch, sitting on this little square. Everybody had one, they were all uniform, and you could look down the row, and there's grandma, and there's mom, and there's your brother, and there you are. Is very happy. Entire families can take part. Old people happily there, some very old people bowed with great vigor, really strong bowers. And you wouldn't think, 80-year-old people wouldn't miss a single stick of incense. They were there for the entire thing. And outside the auditorium, or the gymnasium where we were, all of the jobs were covered by volunteers. Here is the pai wei table. So carefully write down who is the pai wei, the plaque, who you want to dedicate merit to. Put it up there very carefully. Everybody keeps careful records. You pay for your plaque. This table over here is distributing literature. Here are the sutras. Here are the shastras. Here are the Buddhist comic books. Here are the good books. Here's the Taipei Fajie publications, all there. Over here is the kitchen crew. Oh, the kitchen crew. They've got their jobs and they've got their hair covered up in a shower cap, and their shoulders, their sleeves rolled up. They are working like hot, sweating, turning out magnificent vegetarian food. Over here are the volunteers wearing vests. That's the parking crew. And these are the daddies and the uncles and the brothers, all there, making sure that everybody is parked correctly. This group over here, that's the security detail. They're patrolling, making sure nobody's smoking, making sure that nobody's, wanders in. Everybody has their role. Over here are the Fa Shi. We have a Weino team. We have the Fa Zhu wearing his red robe. That was me in the middle. And so everybody has a job. And you can throw your heart into it, throw your mind in it, just completely just forget all the troubles for a week so you can take part in the Fa Hui. This is called Fa Hui culture, Fa Hui Wenhua. Amazing experience. Then, once all the jobs are done, once it's time for the session to begin, everybody 异口同音, in unison, reciting the text of the Chan Hui Yi Shi, bowing together, reciting the praises, reciting the mantras, then meditating, reciting the Buddha's name, reciting Samantabhadra's name, right? And then at the end of the day, you know what? Everybody's tired but happy. Good tired, because you've been working all day. Sleep really well, get up tomorrow, start again. Same thing. Really, really good. And the music that we're doing bonds everybody together. This 异口同音 part, the singing in unison, is so powerful to just sing loud and just, you can hear all those voices together praising the Buddha, Chengzan Rulai. So good to be part of that. You forget your cares and worries. You don't have the blues. Why? You are unified with the entire basketball court, the entire gymnasium, 200 people reciting together, praising the Buddha. It's transformative. It really takes you out of your body into another unit called Fa Hui, Dharma Assembly. And what's more, when you're walking, you're reciting. When you're sitting, you're reciting. You're sitting in silence, silently reciting. And when it's time to speak Dharma, there are stories of people who maybe you knew who went off to rebirth successfully. This 念佛法门, 求生净土, really works. How about that? That is the Fa Hui, and I would guarantee you that the number of Westerners, blue-eyed people who have experienced this, you can count on 2 hands. It is outside of Chinese culture, outside of the Mahayana, unknown. So, if I kept track, how many Fa Hui have I been part of, including 1 year when I did 2 Wanfo Baochan, once at Wanpocheng, once in Kuala Lumpur. So, amazing experience. So, now, is this Pure Land? No, but it is Chengzan Rulai. It's part of the praising, it's part of Samantabhadra's second vow. So, what have we got? We've got integration with Chanzong, Yixin Bulan, right? Nian Dao, Yixin Bulan, Nian Fo Chan. It's so important that the Hua Tou our Chan meditation topic begins with 念佛是谁? Amitabha. There are so many stories of people who have actually been reborn that there's no need to doubt. There is no need to doubt that this method really works, right? Wang Sheng Lu, Wang Sheng Xifang stories. Okay, now, all of that being said, it's funny, when I was putting this together, I started out by writing all the reasons why the Pure Land does not work in America. 法师 let's see 是法师好是异口同音对异口同音 correct 谢谢 let's see here 异口同音写错了师父 would definitely scold me for getting that wrong. There we go. 异口同音 Amitofo. Okay, now this is something also, I think, unknown. The way you could say that Westerners don't know about Fahui culture, people who nianfo don't know about Westerners' problems with Amitabha. Amitabha looks like a god to the West. He looks like a Lutheran god. Many people come to Buddhism because they have left behind the idea of a supreme male patriarchal authority. The God of the Old Testament, it says, I am an angry God. I am a jealous God. He has power to send you to hell. And if you mess up, he will, boom, he'll destroy you, right? That's in the stories in the Old Testament talk about that. Because in the time when the God of the Israelites, not the Palestinians, not the Israelis, Israelites, the tribes of the Old Testament, when there was competition back then, there were other gods who competed. There was one called Baal, B-A-A-L. And Baal, his worship was very 乱七八糟, you know. And the God of the Israelites, the one who is the voice in the Old Testament, said, if you worship Baal, I will destroy you. And there are stories in the Old Testament of that happening. So, growing up with this as the background of your religious faith, many people, myself included, walked away. Then we look at Amitabha, and it's like, oh no, here comes another one. You want me to believe in another God? Why is this story, you know? And then I want to say that you look closer. And he is a 慈悲的父亲. He's not the God of the Old Testament. Especially, he has a disciple, Guan Yin Pusa. Guan Yin Pusa, 大慈大悲 Guan Yin Pusa draws near Amitabha. How could Amitabha be the jealous, angry God, right? What is his, when you look at Amitabha, what's he doing? 布施, right? 施无为. His mudra is giving, generous. 布施, right? 施无为不怕, 不用怕, 你不必害怕. So he is gentle, he is kind, he is not an Old Testament God. Furthermore, once you look at his 48 vows, oh my goodness, 不一样. However, many Westerners hear the story, they come into a Buddha hall and they look and they go, nope, I like mindfulness. I want to just sit. I'll sit. I'm happy. You know, don't tell me about the story. I don't want to hear that story. So, in fact, as we tell it, the Buddha said to his disciples, you know what? there is another Buddha in the West. He created a land called Jila Shijie, ultimate happiness. He was originally a bhikshu named Fa Zhang, and he made 48 vows. So, Wu Wen Zi Shuo, right? The Buddha, our Buddha, Shakyamuni, told the story of another Buddha, Amitabha, without being asked. So even the early bhikshus, Dadizi, did not know about Amitabha. It came later. So people ask, well, when will Amitabha come to the West? And it's hard to know. I have a theory that, who knows, maybe America right now is in big trouble. Chaos is coming. There may be real conflict in America ahead. I believe that China picked up Amitabha so strongly because life in China was very hard for centuries. Floods, the Yellow River, Huanghe, right? Famine, no food, no rain, no food. Wars, rebellion, the army coming through taking your son, the army coming through taking your horse, the army coming through taking your son, taking your crops, right? Taxes, the tax collector comes and takes your crops and your horse, right? And then disease, everybody gets sick. Then what? Huangchong, then the insects come and eat your crops. So life in China was really, really hard. When you hear the story, 你看这个娑婆世界苦啊，苦。可是呢，南无阿弥陀佛。There's a place 不苦的地方。People went, I want to go there. 南无阿弥陀佛，南无阿弥陀佛，南无阿弥陀佛，南无阿弥陀佛。They start reciting. America in the West is a place now where you can take an aspirin, you can take a drug, you can take your credit card and 不苦 temporarily. You can solve the problem of suffering briefly until it comes back. Who needs the Buddha? Who needs Amitabha when you can take a pill, right? But I think our time is coming when suffering is going to be real and people will say, how do you recite Amitabha's name? I want to go to the Pure Land. We'll see. We'll see. So one day, to close the last story, my favorite story, you've all heard me tell you before, but it's a great story. One day, I was bowing outside the Wanpo Dian, that city of 10,000 Buddhas, bowing around. And in front of me, I saw a pair of yellow monk's shoes right in front of me as I bowed down. So I looked up, and here was Master Hua. So immediately, just spontaneously, on the spot, I knelt down, put my palms together. I said, 师父, 814法门哪个最好? 84,000 methods, Shifu. Which one is the best? And I knew the answer. Shifu was going to say, 你谈这个什么? 你贪心太大了, 你拿这个妄想干什么? 你不满意拜佛吗? 礼佛, 你为什么你礼佛打这个妄想? Why are you false thinking while you're bowing? Why aren't you really bowing? He did not say that. Shifu looked at me and he said, 要念佛嘛, 是无量光, he said. Recite the Buddha's name, it's limitless light, he said. And then he walked away. So it's like, right? Nothing to say. Recite the Buddha's name, he said. It's limitless light. So I'll just pass that on to people. That's our Chengzan Rulai from Pushen Pusa. Okay. If we recite Medicine Buddha's mantra, can it keep civil war away? America is heading very fast in a bad direction, so we'll see. That's what I'm reciting for. See you tomorrow night again for the last lecture in our series. Om Namo Bhagavate Vaisacya Vaidurya Prabharajaya Madhagataya Arahate Samyak Sambuddhaya Adhyata Om Sati Sati Vaisaja Sangate Swaha Om Namo Bhagavate Vaisacya Vaidurya Prabharajaya Madhagataya Arahate Samyak Sambuddhaya Adhyata Om Saji Saji Vaisaja Sangate one more. Om Namo Bhagavate Vaisacya Vaidurya Prabharajaya Madhagataya Arahate Samyak Sambuddhaya Adhyata Om Saji Saji Vaisaja Sangate Swaha. Okay, Yao Shifo, please help. Okay, let us bow. Here's Guanyin Pusa. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master, King Li Lao Hoshan. Alrighty, see you all next, that would be tomorrow night, last chance to join in with our explanation of the 84,000 Dharma doors. Which one is the best? Amitofo, everybody. See you tomorrow.